A tiger's cub, while playing in the forest, gets a little away from its mother and other siblings. Horrified on not seeing mother around, the cub coos for its mother. Mother tiger hears the cooing of her cub, runs and takes it to the herd. It's the dawn of spring. In the serene silence of the early morning, the cuckoo bird coohoos to his beloved, and female cuckoo responds in a chirpy kick voice. A herd of elephants walking quietly, but hidden in their silence is ongoing conversation with another herd, which is 10 kilometers away. The conversation, which is less than 20 hertz of the sound wave's frequency, is too low to be detected by the human senses. The voice is a natural gift to all animals and birds on the earth, and each one of them has used this gift creatively by developing its own language. Every human baby that is born announces its arrival with the cry, the same natural sound. As it grows, mimicking the sound falling on its ears, hums of ah and oo begin to emerge. Later, slowly speaking one syllable at a time, then words and then jumbled sentences, the baby learns to speak its mother tongue. Unknowingly, the language learned becomes an integral and indivisible part of life. It accompanies lifelong in all thoughts and even in the dreams. More than 7,000 languages are spoken in the world today. From the origin of man on earth to the present day, countless languages were created and disappeared. This process of language development is going on continuously and will continue forever. But how did it all begin? In the last phase of evolution, as the man emerged, he started using his five senses to the fullest. He began to observe the nature around him. Nature's scenarios, some were pleasing and some were frightening. Fragrances he smelled, some were soothing and some were disgusting. Food he tried, some he found sweet or some bitter. He wanted to share all the experiences and feelings he had with other companions in his flock. Man had realized that various sounds uttered from his throat were more complicated than that of animals and birds. He had also understood that with the help of his lips, tongue, and teeth, he can make variations and create numerous different sounds. Out of the innumerable sounds that man pronounced, unknowingly, some of them he selected as the original sounds, and those became the letters. Those single letters had no meaning. However, they were put together to originate words which were assigned with particular meanings. Sentences were formed with specific arrangement of those words. Group of humans living together unanimously accepted this, and it became the language of that particular group. Human settlements were spread over in various pockets on the earth. Languages emerged in those various groups. The nature of the surroundings was same with slight differences, but the experiences and feelings differed from person to person. The sounds he chose to make letters were different, and the words he created by joining letters which were accepted by his group were different, and hence the languages differed from group to group. Agriculture had not been invented. So for the search of prey and for the search of edible plants, groups of humans were wandering from one place to another. Interaction between different groups was inevitable. The words developed by various groups were exchanged and hybrid languages were created. This is an inference about the origin of language on the basis of imagination and reason. But this is exactly how it must have happened can never be said with certainty. Various theories on the origin and evolution of languages have been put forward over the centuries. The theorists debated vehemently, and it became so controversial that in 1886 The Linguistic Society of Paris decided and banned the theories thereafter. Man realized that the sound waves of his spoken words get dissolved into the thin air, and so to give an eternal nature to the spoken language, written languages came into existence. This was the culmination of human struggle going on for millions of years to express his thoughts in concrete form. In an attempt to express itself in tangible form, about 10,000 years ago, humans began to use stones of various shapes to measure daily transactions. Later, he realized that carving on stones is easier than cutting them into shape. And about 5,500 years ago, he began to draw the thoughts of his mind in pictorial forms on stones. This could be considered as the beginning of the pictorial notice boards of modern age. Over the next 1,500 years, he began to use symbols that corresponded to the sounds of the dialect. Marked names began to be carved on the graves of prominent individuals in the herd. Humans realized that the number of symbols needed to be reduced for easier use. So, he marked only the original letters of the spoken language. Their systematic composition led to the formation of words, and the written language was born. Seals and stone inscriptions excavated at Mohenjo-daro and the Rongo-Rongo symbols carved on wooden remains found in Easter Island are about 7,500 years old. But linguists have not yet been able to decipher and prove whether they are only pictures or the most ancient alphabet, and therefore, according to the research so far, written languages evolved in the Mesopotamia, Egypt, China, and southern Mexico during the period from 3400 BC to 1200 BC. With written language, man realized that he could store, preserve, and pass on the knowledge he had acquired about nature and life to the next generation. While expressing the thoughts in written form, human emotions of joy, displeasure, love, lust, jealousy, etc. mingled unknowingly, and various styles of language blossomed out of it. The physical act of speaking was coupled by the mental act of expressing content and emotion, and thus the creation of literature began. Literature that commenced thousands of years ago continued to grow seamlessly in every language of the world. Foreign attacks and conflicts between the local monarchies led to political and social changes. Victorious monarchies forcefully spread their language. In order to destroy rivals' culture, precious treasures of their literature were burned to ashes. Time cycle moved forward. Human social life changed. Languages changed with changing social life. The meanings of the words changed. New words were added. Thoughts, habits, new things, scientific advancements, etc. led to change in topics and content. Various dialects were formed according to the location of the original language. The means of rapid transportation made tourism easy, and people from across the globe came closer to each other. Exchange of languages increased. In fact, for higher education and for expanding businesses, it became necessary to know the languages of each other. Communicating anytime with anyone in the world literally became a game of fingers with mobile phones and internet. The computer began to make translations, and the gap between the languages disappeared in a jiffy. Machine languages for operating machines, various languages such as Python, JavaScript, C++ to give instructions to computers came into existence. The sign languages for the deaf and dumb and Braille script helped to overcome the physical disability. The linguists have classified the languages prevalent today into about 250 language groups. Amongst them, Indo-European language group is the largest, which consists of nearly 200 languages from Hindi, Persian to Norwegian English. Those are the languages that have developed from the exchange of words between groups of primitive people who wandered across the vast land masses of Asia and Europe continent since 5000 BC. There is another small Semitic group of Babylonian, Assyrian, Hebrew, Phoenician, and Aramaic languages, which were developed due to the migration of people in the desert region from Arabia to Syria since 3000 BC. Scattered across different regions on Earth, there are 7.97 billion human beings speaking more than 7,000 different languages. The words spoken, written are different, but the feelings and emotions expressed in the words are the same. I, ma, amma, ammi, mom, said in any language, flashes to our mind the image of the doting mother. Suprabhat in Marathi, Kale Vanakkam in Tamil, Good Morning in English, Bonjour in French, Good Morgen in German, sends the same good wishes and makes the start of the day happy. Then why to fight over languages? The listener should understand what you are saying. That's the only important purpose of the language. When Lord Sri Ram from Ayodhya reached the Nushakodi in search of Sita, his grief and anguish was understood not only by the humans but also by the monkeys without any language barriers. Lord Sri Krishna did not face any difficulty in communication when he moved to Dwarka from Mathura. Language can build friendly relations, or the same language can become bone of contention. It is solely on us to decide whether to chain ourselves with the linguistic boundaries or to learn new languages to enjoy precious literatures available in them. The kuhu kuhu of the cuckoo, the conversation in silent sound waves between the elephants, the roaring of the tiger, meow meow of the cat were there at the time of their origin on earth. It is still the same to this day and will remain so for ages. However, the languages created by man has changed and evolved from generation to generation. It is a language that gave man the ability to think. It is a language that shaped primitive humans and created researchers, physicians, financial analysts out of them. The language will continue accompanying man and his onward journey also. Words in different languages will keep resonating forever, overcoming the passing time, and on the pages of changing time, the words would continue writing history of man's progress, commemorating the glorious landmarks of his accomplishments.
Gaja